Welcome to the Jeanne Oliver podcast, where we talk all things business, art, and lifestyle. This is your podcast for building a more creative life. Creativity is calling. Become the artist you have dreamed to be. After the podcast, meet me over at jeanneoliver.com, where you will find art, business, and lifestyle online courses. We have over 150 courses from teachers around the world. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm Jeanne Oliver, and today I'm talking with artist, bookbinder, lover of nature and home, creator of artisan supplies, and more, Margaux Kent. Margaux, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Jeanne.
I'm really happy you're here. Before we dive in, can you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I think this is where I struggle the most. My name is Margaux. I have two boys, Soren and Silas, and a dog, Pearl. My husband and I started our business. We have a small business called Peg and Awl 15 years ago. We're celebrating 15 years this year. And I guess that's a starting point.
It's a great starting point. I've really been looking forward to this discussion. We've carried your artisan supplies in our online shop over the years, and you create one of my very favorite sketchbooks for my own personal use, the Aura sketchbook, if anybody wants to know. I admire your authenticity and what you share with the world, and also how you choose to live life with your family. You have kept journals most of your life. So how did you keep them as a child? And then how do you keep them now?
As a child, I really just made books and filled them, kind of stories or drawings. I only have a handful of them, so I don't know what the full expression was, I guess. But I think when I was 13, I was encouraged to start actually keeping a journal, and then I did it on and off throughout the years. And then I don't know how many years ago I read the Morning Pages book. And started to just obsessively journal or fill pages, or more obsessively, I should say. And then I've also kind of gone back to my childhood of just making and filling smaller books, because I felt like I feel like the journaling gets so excessive. I'm just filling pages, and sometimes I bore myself with just kind of going over my days. So when I shrink it down, whether the book's smaller or just the ideas are smaller or surrounding drawings, then I feel like different parts of my brain are activated.
Do you remember who encouraged you to start keeping a journal?
I do. I went on a trip to Israel when I was 13, and we were all just encouraged to bring a journal with us. And I do have that. And I read some of the pages a while ago when we moved. I found it, and of course, it was terrible. It was a 13-year-old's journal, but it was more of kind of just maybe the first time that I talked about life and what I was experiencing, instead of just making up animal stories or whatever it was that I had done.
I think so often we'll hear like, oh, this person told me not to do this growing up, or this person told me I wasn't good enough at something. And so I really love the conversation of who actually encouraged you to do something, who saw something in you, and maybe other people didn't, because I think there's so many beautiful examples of that too. And that huge impact of somebody encouraging you from a young age, like who even knows what that had, just in your bookbinding process and just your own processing of the world. And so how did journal keeping impact how you process the world? Or even just yourself or your own thoughts? Because I always see, obviously I don't see what you write, but I see what you play and how you experiment and how I see you noticing. And so I'm curious how it helps you process.
I feel like it's different every day, or maybe there's like a rotation of ways that it helps me process. But I've already kind of talked about how I just kind of deliberately analyze my days, or at least notate. But then there's also, maybe that's when the best stuff happens, when when I'm walking from my house to my studio, or I'm not sure what I'm going to write. I don't have anything, grand that happened the day before. And I'm just, inspired by something in that it's 40 steps. So it's really short, but there's always something magical that intervenes. So yeah, I think that extracting from the natural world, of course, is a huge source of inspiration. And then just, kind of eavesdropping in public spaces. Um, I feel like I have a few things that I do if I'm kind of stuck with journaling, but I process through words, and even just that habit of scratching paper. I love I love the sound and the physical feeling of that. And then I also to challenge myself. I guess I'm always kind of challenging myself. I've had different projects where, for example, I used my left hand for 3 years doing journaling and drawing, and that was so interesting because it was a different part of me that came out, and this is my most exciting project yet, I guess, the left-handed, because I also was very strangely accepting of that left hand. Like I loved everything the left hand did, and it's mysterious because it's still, obviously it's still me, but it that hand processed my thoughts and my lines differently. So that was really cool. And then another project that I really loved was I did a poetry project with friends where we just wrote a poem every day and sent the poems through the mail to each other. And that was like a lovely distillation. So instead of having the pages of the day, I would reduce the day to, 3 lines or 10 lines or whatever it was. And it was just a really nice way to kind of filter that excess um, and just kind of, I don't know what, just get to the point or the feeling or, the intensity of that,
No, so good.
whatever it is.
I love what you said about scratching on paper and just the sound of it. And I also love that you said that you loved everything that was coming from the left hand. And I feel like anytime I contour sketch anything, I'm in love with it, 100% more than if I try to make it perfect. I like all the lines, I
Mm,
like the looseness, and it just feels it feels the most like me when I'm doing a contour sketch and just allowing myself to capture something quickly. And I feel like you're kind of doing that all the time. And I also love the poem activities that you did and that project, because we are so bombarded with so much every day. We have so much coming at us. And I love that you had an activity that helped you simplify it, but then you got to share it with other people. I think we forget the beautiful parts of writing to somebody else and writing in a letter or sending somebody something. And how long did you do the poems?
so yeah, I think the poetry project went on for more than a year, maybe like a year and a half. And we still, on occasion, will send poems, and I would love to do that more whenever I find myself just getting into the weeds of that documentation. I just love returning to that distillation. So yeah, I would say it was every day for like a year and a half, and now it's just whenever we're inspired.
So this is just wondering, as we're talking, was there anything about you that your friends noticed that they didn't know about you before because of the poetry, or something when you think back on that time, a poem that you received from somebody else that you knew, that it changed just a layer in them that you saw?
Mm. I don't. One of the things that we didn't do is really, although we did get together a few times and like kind of like isolate things that we loved in the work and kind of try to understand a bigger potential for the project. But we really didn't do that much analyzing. And the one person that I started the project with is my friend Katie, and we talk on the phone almost almost every day. We write letters all the time, so we're pretty familiar with each other. I think it was just nice to see the familiar stories changed.
Mhm.
I guess as I'm saying this, there are things that maybe I don't want to talk about, but that I did observe in her that we've talked about. That was really is maybe more personal life kind of stuff. It
Yeah.
was like fascinating. And then my sister-in-law was one of the, there are a bunch of people, but was one of the other people who was part of it. And I don't really know her that well. So it was amazing to read her. So I feel like it wasn't necessarily something that arose just because of the poetry project, but because I just got to know her better.
Right. When you met your husband, Walter, he was a woodworker and you were a bookbinder. Did you have vision right away early on in your marriage of how your different giftings could create something beautiful and interdependent? And if not right away, was there a specific moment when you began to dream up what we see as Peg and Awl today?
It was right away. The day after we met, we started making things. Um, and we had some ridiculous ideas. Like we were going to, we don't know how to sail on our own, but we were like, we're gonna get, there was a, maybe it's still around. There was a website where you could volunteer and trade your time and work on a boat to travel. So we're like, let's get on one of these boats and we'll make things in our spare time and we'll sell them when we when we arrive at ports. It was pretty, unrealistic, but that was our first dream. And then the second one was we were going to do something outside of what we did, because we each like to do a lot of things, and maybe interestingly, we thought that we would just start simply by doing one thing that neither of us did, which was making shoes. That idea fell apart pretty quickly. And then we were like, we may as well do what we know, which is kind of a real ranging. Not only do we each do so many different things, but we're both so curious. So we just I guess we couldn't have planned it. We couldn't have planned Peg and Awl because it really just follows our interests. And I don't think that we could have imagined that a business could endure with so many pivots. We were constantly pivoting. So yeah, the actual business, no plans. All the ideas before were wacky.
Yeah. Well, and even if you look at your site today, it's dipped in the, your giftings. It's everywhere. I mean, it's the wood products, it's the wax canvas, it's the journaling, it's the paper products. It's, I think, also like your love of making things from nothing or making things from nature. I feel like it's all over the place, and so it's so beautiful to see both of you represented, and probably so much more too. You are very intentional about how you live as a family and individually. Have you always been this intentional, or did a business and motherhood help you become more selective about how you wanted your life to look and feel?
I think it's funny that or not funny, but I appreciate that it, that that I could appear intentional. I guess that word is pretty rangy, but I'm a very chaotic person with lack of focus, I think. So maybe business and having children and family made me appear intentional. Not to say that I'm not. I don't know what the opposite of intentional is or what I'm imagining, but
Well, I feel
yeah,
like
can you describe?
somebody who daily says, like, daily spends time in nature, who creates in some way, whether it's a meal or it's a sketch or it's something. I think in those ways, I see that you're honoring of your life.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that might simply be just the appreciation for all that there is. I
Right.
feel like that my main struggle throughout each day is like how to do it all. There's so much stuff that I'm interested in and I want to kind of partake in, and yeah, I guess it's truly just curiosity.
Yeah. How often do you and your husband need to readjust and evaluate how you're creating a purposeful life with your boys, and with each other and individually? Do you find that you get off track often, or do you guys just kind of even once in a while get off track? I mean, with the business, with boys, with your own creativity, with homeschooling, what is that readjustment process to look at how you're spending your days?
I was reading the questions to Walter last night, and he laughed, and his response was hourly to that question.
I get that. I feel that a lot.
Yeah, I feel like we do. I think we're always listening to podcasts or reading books or listening to books that invite like different kinds of thinking and reinvestigation of how we're doing things. Doesn't mean although I love change, he's less into change. I don't necessarily mean to suggest that we change all the time, but we are always evaluating what we're doing. It's like, is what we're doing working? Is this where we want to be, or is it not working? And then maybe our reaction time. I think it depends on what the pivot is. Um, during the pandemic, our business really, this is the main example I could think of that took a long time, but our business like really bloomed, and we found ourselves. It's kind of like the goal of business, right? For it to grow, and we found ourselves just being managers and
Yeah.
hiring people and interviewing people and making sure things were done right, and kind of keeping up with with sales or with payroll, just kind of keeping up with the things that we didn't set out to be part of. So I feel like I'm derailing from your
No,
question.
not
How
at
often do we have
all.
to? So yeah, so I feel like almost immediately into that process, I was like, this is not where I want to be. But I was also home with the boys and doing my work. Well, we had moved out of Philadelphia at the time, so I was kind of also loving life here, but knew that I just didn't want to be part of a bigger and bigger business where we were more and more detached. I think no matter how close you are to your business, when it just gets so big, you have to become detached just from the sheer nature of delegation. I mean, there's so many things I would love to do, like take a walk every day. I don't necessarily want to be adding more and more business to it.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I want to say that took us a good 3 to 5 years, unless I'm off with my time, because maybe I was feeling it before the pandemic and then the bloom came, whatever it was. It took a while before, because Walter was going into the shop and working like crazy hours, and he was kind of really enjoying it for that little time.
Mm-hmm.
But it took a while to really come to terms with the fact that this wasn't the business we wanted, and we just shrunk it all down and moved it to our barn out in Westchester, Pennsylvania, where we live, and just kind of, I don't want to say started over again, because we did not find ourselves where we were when we started the business, but we found ourselves in a place where we could be creative again and just make things and spend more time taking walks.
Well,
So
and I think
yeah.
sometimes too, especially running a business, just because it's good, sometimes you can think, well, I appreciate this so much, but it's good. I can appreciate it. I'm thankful for it, and I have to put it down because it's taking me
Yeah.
farther and farther away from the life that we set out to live and the life we want to live.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I feel like it's tough because we had really great people working with us, and we had this amazing space in Philadelphia. There were a lot of positives with that. So yeah, it's not as easy as being like it's big and we're done. There's a lot to weigh, and
Yeah.
yeah. And I
You
think
had,
there's always risks
yeah.
in business, and I think shrinking it, there was also a risk.
Yeah.
Kind of being in what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of making ourselves irrelevant. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
is what we worried
Yeah.
briefly.
You and Walter homeschool your two boys, and you run a thriving creative business. What do your days look like as you live the ebb and flow of creativity, routine, business, the mundane, nature, parenting, and school together?
Well, Silas, our 15-year-old, he started going to public school a year and a half ago.
Okay.
So, and then Soren's 17. He's still homeschooled. He loves it, and he's really kind of, I don't know what it would be called, not necessarily unschooled, but he's just kind of self-guided. We've never been a family that like sits around the table with our
Yeah.
classwork.
Yeah.
It's more like, I know you've done the same, but I feel like homeschool was a freedom of
Yeah.
traveling when you want, not just on spring break, and museums or bike rides are all homeschooling, all things that you kind of experience life through, or stopping during a bike ride and drawing. We all like take out our sketchbooks and draw. So there was extreme freedom in homeschooling, which I think is ironic, in that most people think that there's such a restriction when you're homeschooled. I feel like people are always like, where's the socialization and how do you know they're getting enough? And not that we didn't doubt ourselves throughout the path, but I just feel like there was such freedom, and we're really experiencing how much freedom we had in contrast to now Silas going to public school. It's like we travel when everybody else travels and but our trips are like 3 days long. If we could get him to take off a day, we're always like, maybe you could take one more day of school off. And he's like, no. So I think we're just newly, a year and a half in, kind of adjusting to this new structure of structure
Yeah.
of a structure that's put on us by somebody else. But what were the other parts of your question? Did I answer that?
Yeah, it was just kind of what does that routine look like? And I am very much, and you even went into more. So I'm going to just kind of go into the next thing about the boys.
Okay, great.
They both, they see you honoring your creativity. They see Walter, honoring his creativity all around you. Your business is based on it. The people that you work with or the other artisans that you collaborate with. What impact do you see that has made in their own honoring of their gifts and their creativity? Do you have examples that you can think in each of them that, because I think a lot of people growing up, they could say, I didn't really know that my creativity was that special, or I didn't know it needed to
Mm,
be honored. And I think we have a lot of adults now, whether they're an accountant or a realtor, the thing that so often can be missing out of people's presence, of being present in life, is the creativity that didn't still continue in so many different ways. If you're not a working artist, that doesn't mean that our lives don't need creativity. They don't need making of some kind. And so, no matter what your boys are going to do next, where do you see them maybe paying attention to that, their own creativity and the making?
mm. Well, Soren's easy. Again, he's 17 and we've been doing some visiting colleges because he really wants to study. He wants to make video games and do animation, and he's an incredible artist. I'm his mother, but he is also an incredible artist. And I think wow, how do we break apart creativity from, I'm losing my words, from not just ritual, but kind of, I think it's, I think it goes back to an earlier question, like loving the world we live in and realizing that we have the freedom to kind of do what we want to do. We don't have to do these weird things that people do in life, like sit in classrooms and take tests. I don't want to reduce it just to that, but then, go to college for 4 years and do like for years, we just imagined our boys wouldn't even go to college, but he's through doing what he's doing and loving what he loves in life. He's like made the decision to go to college. And not only is he really excited about it, but it's so fun for us to imagine, with each, we haven't visited that many places, but he's probably going to go to SCAD. So we're like, what is it going to be like visiting Savannah? And we're already planning our trip. So I think, that sense of freedom continues. So that might be the biggest thing. And I think that is creativity, right? The ability to think outside of this structure of this world. I feel like so often people like ask, like, can you do that? Or are these things that you're allowed to do? And it's like, even in bookbinding, when I share a bookbinding, like, oh, can I do this? And it's like, human beings created bookbinding. We could do anything. A book is anything. A book is it's just a vessel that holds thoughts, and it doesn't even have to be that. So I think that idea that we have the freedom to move through this world kind of in any way we choose is the biggest creative piece. But on a technical level, Soren is also like incredibly creative. He's so his work is robust and his work ethic is robust. And then Silas is a different creature altogether. He's the one. He's kind of like, in his public school experience, I always joke that we're kind of like the monsters. Is it Marion, the like, the pretty one in the family, and the rest are just kind of these creatures, even though I called Silas a creature. But we live in this old house, and there's always like stuff on the porch, and he gets picked up now by the bus. And he's the soccer kid, and he just has this totally different life. And I feel like a lot of him is, and it's great for us too, but he's like experiencing the world in a way where he's like, it's so different than I've been living it. And so I don't know I don't know where his creativity will take him, or what it's even going to look like. He is again, on technical terms, he's like an incredible drawer and renderer he's like created portraits and drawing from life with pen and ink, but he hasn't done that. Now he hasn't done that in like 2 years since he's been in school. He's playing soccer and working out and kind of living this alternative life. So it'll be interesting to see how these different experiences come together and like not just impact Silas, but impact us, because Silas has all of us doing workouts.
Oh, that's great. And I think it goes back to what you said. It's choices, and that there's freedom in your choice, and there's not just one way to do something. And no matter what that looks like, even when their lives can look very different from like maybe what it looked like a couple of years ago, what they've learned is I can kind of forge my own path, and I'm loved and supported and cheered on.
Completely.
And I think that is worth, I think, everything. Like when I think of how hard it is to run a business, or how hard it is to be consistent, or to do things like with family. And I love watching our children know that there's choices. I love knowing
Mm,
that and watching our kids know, oh, that's not just, there's not just one way to do this.
right,
I can choose differently than other people, and it doesn't make it right or wrong. It's just different.
right.
And I'm loved and I'm supported. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, well, good job. I think just a really good job, because 15 and 17, these are really exciting years of starting to see them more of
Yeah,
who they're becoming.
for sure. For
How
sure.
important to your day-to-day sanity and joy is the land that you live on, and how do you take time to rest in nature throughout the day?
Hmm. Well, we live on 5 acres, and we have. I feel like we moved here like 7 years ago now, which is crazy. And I don't think we've done really. I don't think we've done anything to our house. We've really just been working on the land and the barn for Peg and Awl. But so much of what we do is outside, whether it's gardening or ungardening, as I call it. We just finished a pond that we swim in. Walter's been he learned how to dry stack, so he's been like getting hauls of old rock from old barns and churches and stuff and delivered here. So he's been building walls all over the place. So I feel like so much. Well, one thing that I left out is that movement is so, even though it's from outside of this, but movement is so important to creativity and sparking new ideas. So yeah, working outside and being just always working with the land and is it makes it has a huge impact on my day to day for sure, and I'm sure all of ours. And we also live in a really beautiful area, so we would a few times a week we just drive to a park and hike through the woods, and it's a really nice way to see. We have so many invasives here. Actually, the whole area has invasives, but it's also a nice way to find little pockets of native plants and kind of learn more about what could be here. So yeah, it's incredibly important.
Yeah. I'd like to ask about your own creative play and experimentation outside of running the business. So much is needed for your creativity for Peg and All, and how much time do you give to creating just for you? Is that a struggle to make time for that, or do you find that a natural rhythm?
It is natural rhythm slash struggle, just as far as what it is that I want to do. That came out of a major struggle, I think, a bunch of years ago when I realized that life was not great without making things, without making marks. And even though we have a creative business, when we were in Philadelphia, so much, and this was like leading up to that time that I was telling you about that kind of broke me, where the business was just too big. Like even though we had a creative business, we were just kind of I felt stuck. And I love business. I love, that also gives us freedom. But when it just, everything's balanced in life. When it became to, just managing this business, I think I just realized that I need to both set aside time for myself in the morning for journaling and drawing. And then also I need to take a walk every day or swim every day or do something every day that's outside. Bike. We love to bike together. And I mean, we're like the family that walks after dinner. I feel like you see the same for us anyway. They're the same few people in the neighborhood that walk or they run or they do what they do, and all the other homes are dark or like you see the television on. So anyway, not that I need to criticize the world, but it is remarkable how few people step foot outside, and yet it is so important for to go back to your question, joy and sanity
Yeah.
and creativity. To be able to make new things, you have to. I mean, I have to experience new things and just like
Mhm.
have my I don't know, have my body moving. I
Yeah.
have to sweat.
Yeah. I want to ask about your business, Peg and All, and how you decide what new products to create for your customers. Do you find that you first offer something because you needed it first? You're creating something because of the need of your customers, or maybe a little bit of both?
The majority of what we do is creating things that we want first. So, it
Mhm.
sounds very no, that's selfish, but it comes from a place where we could really
Okay.
understand what it is that we're making, and then also we test everything before we put it out, and we use our stuff hard before we put it out. Some recently there've been some like enough people asking, for example, for a taller Sendek artist roll because they don't fit their brushes and they don't want to chop off the ends like I do. So we're like, let's try a taller scenic artist role, and then Soren and I just signed up for a workshop with Lorraine Lutz, somebody we've been friends with on Instagram, for a number of years, and she just came to Philadelphia. So I wanted to make her a little treat. So we made her like, she paints does miniature paintings. So we made her a really mini Sendak. It was kind of, I don't want to say it was a joke, but it was just like, we love her work and her mini work. So we're like, let's just make it mini. And then we shared it online, and everybody's been asking for it. So now we're making a batch of
Way to go.
the mini.
Way to go. Yeah.
So, but it's tough because, not tough, but I share so much of what we make, and that's what keeps it going. So if I'm not using it, it'll be interesting to see if other people sharing will keep it, keep people's interest. But years ago, when I was reading your question, I was thinking years ago, when we lived in Philadelphia, we worked with anthropology and urban companies in the very beginning of when we first started, like the first year, and then many years, I don't know, 8 to 10 years, I guess we worked with them. And anthropology, some people from there used to come to our house like fairly regularly, and we would like brainstorm ideas. And it was always really fun. It felt really special. Especially as a new company. But when we made things with them based on, I don't know what it was, trends or what they want to do, like they never did well. Those products never did well. I mean, they did fine for anthropology, but it was just not, we found that we put a lot of time into making them and planning them. And then maybe because I didn't know how to share them, or I didn't know how to photograph them, or maybe because they just weren't that unique, So I think being a creator that creates things that we use just really has a much stronger impact on other people.
Yeah. When it comes to running your business, do you have core touchstones that you and Walter refer back to again and again to make sure you're true to the heart and vision of your company?
Yeah, I think we do. I think it might be a little not super distinct, like a list, but I think we felt a lot of those things not being touched upon when we decided to shrink the business. So what would they be? I guess, obviously quality of what we're doing is really important. Maybe that's never really faded. Where we source our materials from is really important. We're certainly not 100% where we want to be. It's always like kind of stepping toward that, but we put so much emphasis and thought into where we gather our materials from. For a while, when it got so crazy busy, we weren't making things out of reclaimed materials, which is something that we love doing. It also just sparks new ideas. So that, even something like that, when we weren't doing enough, I'm like, where are the old things that we get to bring back into what we're doing? So I think there are a lot, but maybe they're not so distinct that we have a spreadsheet with them.
No. No, I think those are great examples. And I think you're so aware of just how you feel. And I think you're very aware of your being in your own body, that when you're not doing the things that are authentic, I think you feel it. And it's probably your biggest wake up to say, okay, like we need to do something different.
Yeah.
Is Walter like that too? Does he have, because I need to move. I need to get outside. I can feel in my body when I'm not moving. I'm not in nature. I feel different when I'm not creating for a certain amount of time, something just for me. Like I physically feel different. And so does Walter also feel that? And are you able to come to each other knowing like we're off track? Have you ever thought you're off track and he doesn't?
Oh yeah, I mean, with the smallening, yeah, he was for a few years, he was like, this is great, and and I was like, it isn't great. Yeah. So that was probably the biggest. He doesn't feel it like I feel it. I feel like I should probably he should be answering this, but because I feel like he probably does feel it, I should rather say he does not express it like I express it. When, like, if I'm interrupted during my morning of writing, like everybody knows it and I have a shitty day. So whereas he is like, like he will do.
If Kelly could hear that, he would just say, "Oh, it's not just Jeanne." Oh, right. I'll make sure to have him listen to this part of the podcast.
Yeah, it is really interesting, but I think I needed to get to that point where I could articulate it, and I do often have to remind him, like, I need this time, or I will not be a fun person for the rest of the day. He's different. He's very different. He holds a lot in, and he doesn't. Our upbringings were so different too, but he Um, I don't know if it's about he doesn't want to come first, but he is definitely always aware of what people need.
Mm.
Maybe I'm just aware of what I need at this point, and at least in my mornings. Again, I don't mean to sound selfish. I feel like it sounds so crass coming out, but I just know that every single morning I want that time to fill pages.
Because I
And
think once
actually,
you're done with that, the day goes, the day gets
yeah,
going. And so I think it's a really amazing, thoughtful gift to give to yourself of that quiet and the writing before everything else comes into play. And I don't think it sounds selfish
yeah.
at all. I think it feels very intentional, very thoughtful, and it's preparing your mind and preparing your heart and everything for all the other things you need to do and that you want to do well.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree. And it's such a tangle anymore that it is my work. Like in our newsletters and photographs and stuff like come out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas we were laughing last night when reading these questions because I was like, do you remember when we paid somebody to write our copy? Like one of our employees was also a friend and she was a good writer. And we asked her if she could write the copy. We really didn't have writing in our first few years of
Mm-hmm.
newsletters. And then she started writing and she's a very different kind of writer than I was. And it's like so surprising as somebody who's journaled my whole life that I didn't immediately start writing, writing for our newsletters or even our descriptions. It's mind blowing. So yeah, it is work that comes out of it, but it feels like it's personal. It's all the things. It's really hard to disentangle
Mm-hmm.
um, all the things that you're bringing up, like homeschooling and parenting and husband and wifing and businessing and solo time and creativity. I think they are all so tightly braided
Yeah.
because they all impact each other. So it is everything's a balance, and
No.
it's a hard one.
Yeah. Oh, it is. Because we're in the same situation. I mean, everything we do is like all together. Like I
Yeah,
mean, it's in our home or it's in our studio. I mean, it's all working together. And I always think our kids have a really good work ethic because they grew up working with us. I mean, we paid them to do things for our business, but
yeah,
they learned how to work hard. And I think there wasn't something that it wasn't abstract to them. Like my dad
yeah,
would go
yeah.
to work and my dad would do his thing and then he'd come home. And our kids have
Right.
always, for at least for a big portion, for 18 years now, they've seen, oh, this has direct impact on these other areas in our life.
Yeah,
Good things, but it also gives us freedom, but you have to work hard. We have to
for
work
sure.
hard. And so all right. So much is changing in the world, the economy, how business promotes and connects with their customers, etc. Is there an example? I think we've kind of touched on this a little bit, but is there an example you have of where you tried out what everyone was saying was the best XYZ way to sell or to connect with your customers, and you decided to stay true to how you connect and offer your goods? And I think
Yeah,
really, yeah, go ahead.
yeah. I'm going to say what you were probably going to say. The anthropology thing was a perfect example of that. Otherwise, I don't really know. We really don't jump into things like that often. I would say we've mostly
How about
been
not even
lucky
just
enough.
collaborations? How about marketing? What do you find works the best with your style and how your customers like to receive information from you? So even just
Mm.
as, because if I get something from you, I'm going to hold on to it and look at it later. So if I am actually
And so,
getting like something, if you tell me like these are things you like, I'm going to wait till I can thoughtfully look through it because I'm interested what you have to say. So I think that's interesting too when you said somebody else used to write stuff and then you hadn't even thought, oh yeah, I can write this or I'm going to share these things. And how, I mean, people follow you guys because they love what you create. They love what you teach on YouTube. They love the voice and the aesthetic that you have. And so do you find that people love emails the most or do they love your YouTube videos the most? Where do you find that people connect with you and your product?
um, I can say I honestly don't know where. I honestly can't answer the most question. I think we've always said since the start of our business that we're like kind of, we don't have any basket for our eggs. We just kind of throw them everywhere. And I think the same is true. I mean, though it's dwindling, I feel like I'm on Instagram pretty regularly. It's a nice, I don't know, it's still a nice kind of deadline or something for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Our newsletter is where we get the most sales through, or at least I think. Actually, how do we know? Because it's even hard to get that data. I've been really enjoying Substack, where it's more of a personal, like what's in my journal kind of thing. YouTube was an interesting, starting with the pandemic, just doing the tutorials. So there's a lot of, which is so fun. There are a lot of people now making books, and then sharing them with us, whether it's in an email or through Instagram or through wherever. So I think a lot of things cross over. What else are we doing? YouTube, we just started kind of getting back into recently because people are asking for like a lot of care questions about our products.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been doing that. I think it's a good. I really think it's a good mix of each platform. I mean, I think we all have like a love-hate relationship with these platforms, but each platform kind of is a different, almost prompt, like extracts different ways of thinking. So I think that variety it helps me think differently and kind of, look at an object from, or an idea from all sides. So I think they all work in tandem. It's kind of like back to that braiding of family and life and all that. I think everything is I'm getting to the point, Jeanne, where I think it's all just a big knot, and I'm lucky if I can tease something out of it.
Well, and I think you show up. You can show up differently. You can be a different. You can pull a different part of your creativity out in Instagram, when you will pull out a different part of your creativity in a newsletter, and then a different again. Excuse me, if you're on YouTube. All right, so I often want to dip myself into your beautiful world, and I know so many others feel the same way. So I want to know a little bit more about some things that you find beautiful. So, what music have you been listening to?
Oh man, I actually meant to prepare this, didn't. So now I'm gonna have to think. Um, I've really been loving. I actually made my first playlist on Spotify for a friend. Maybe I'll have to share that. But I've been loving the Walners more recently. Asaf Abadan. I'm probably not pronouncing that right. I love him. I mean, there's who else? I'm totally brain dead.
You have to share a playlist now.
I will. I'll have to do that. Soap and Skin is another favorite. Simmel, Aurora. Charlie Cunningham. We've been going to a lot of concerts lately. So we just went to see the Violent Femmes. Soren's into like older stuff. So it's been really fun to see, to go to music with him, to see music with him. And then also, my boys just introduced me recently to the Spotify DJ. And so this DJ is mysterious because they're finding things that I've loved in the past that I haven't listened to in a while. So, I mean, I always listen to like Nick Cave and Leonard Cohen, but I haven't listened to Tom Waits in a while, or Neil Young. And these are kind of my old favorites.
Nice. It is to be reminded. Up. Yes.
Yeah. And it's interesting because it's not necessarily like my age or my era. It's just bringing up things that I listen to. So I'm a little worried about this DJ as well.
How do you know? All
exactly.
Right. So what book is on your nightstand?
Oh my gosh. I have probably 50 books on my nightstand. I'm really bad at books, and also good at books. So I am just finishing, actually I have like 10 pages left. I Am You, and it's written by Victoria Rettle. It's really good. Somebody recommended it because in the book, it's historical fiction, but she, and it feels like, I forget what Walter called it. I can't remember. It feels like I don't know, just like watching, I don't watch much television. It feels like watching a television show. It's really quick and really enjoyable, but the character, or the main character, makes paint. And so like reading this process is awesome. It's also a really good story. And I've been reading Orhan Pamuk, if not reading / looking at, he did I never read his novels, but he has a beautiful, beautiful book out of his journals. They're just like small, maybe moleskins or something. And so he draws like a lot of landscapes in them, but then writes in Turkish all around the spread. And so the book layout is gorgeous. It's like a tall, skinny book with a little moleskin in the middle. And then they translated all of his his writing in the way it's kind of like the I'm blanking, like the Emily Dickinson envelopes, the way those are kind of
Yes, yes.
transcribed. They're transcribing the location of each word and kind of how he wrote it. So
Oh,
it's
that's really
such
interesting.
it's so good. It's such an inspiring book. I just keep going back to it and reading through. And it's not sequential, but it's really nice to read. That's amazing. What else? I love Clarice Lispector and have been picking through her books over the last many years. So yeah, I'll stop there with the books.
All right. Well, I have you watched anything beautiful lately, whether it's a play or have you watched, you said you've gone to a lot of concerts. Is there a movie? Is there something like visually that you've really enjoyed?
We go to the movies a lot, and I'm totally blanking because I didn't prepare. We go a lot, and there's like a lot of nice art houses around us. But we
Oh,
did just
that's
the
really
only thing
nice.
that's yeah, it's I mean they're like maybe like half an hour to 45 minutes away. It's not like they're super close, but they're it's like we're in the center of this wheel of art houses. So that's fantastic. But I'm blanking 100%. One thing that we did see recently, we showed the Amelie to our guys, and gosh, it doesn't matter how many times I watched that. That film is so good. It's so beautiful.
It
So
is so
that's the
beautiful.
one.
All right. Is there an artist that you have recently purchased from? Who is it and what did you buy? Like, what is something beautiful that you have purchased from another artist recently?
Walter and I just bought bugs that this woman who now works with us. We just met her recently. She does not have social media. She's pretty young. It's really interesting, but she's an incredible. I don't know what to call her. She makes puppets and creatures, but she made these two insects that are gorgeous, and we don't have them yet. We were all part of a group show, and we bought those. So I can't wait to get them when the show closes. Um, but she's not online, so I can't even. Her name is Victoria. I can't even say anything or lead you to her.
Kelly always
Um,
teases me if we go to some kind of like an art fair or anything where creatives are, like I can't, it's very hard not, I want to support like other people making beautiful things. And so sometimes he's like, just guard your eyes. You got to move. You got to keep going. But I think we live in a time where we're so fortunate to be able to get a beautiful coffee cups or to get a beautiful homemade candle or yes, see, and I think that just makes life so beautiful.
it does.
Artists make life just so beautiful, and that's, I mean, from anything from we're talking about music to the writers, to the filmmakers and the photographers, to the artisans. It just it makes our day to day lives, I think, just so lovely throughout the
Yeah.
day. All right. I would love to close with one last question. When was the last time you created something that you got really excited about? And whether you thought your art could kind of, you might start exploring something new, but you were just really proud of it. It's kind of like the best way I know how to say is when I know I've had a breakthrough in something and I've
Yeah.
pushed myself and I didn't even know I was pushing myself and then something came out of that I'm really excited about. When was the last time you felt that about something you were making? You're going to tell me like I made the best banana bread in my whole life and I was freaking out.
I know. I feel like this is actually kind of nice because I feel like I'm very hard on myself, but like every day I'm psyched. So I just made a delicious breakfast, but with stuff from the farmer's market. That was amazing. I was like sage and shiitakes and eggs and what else?
That is the best way to
Um,
make any meal. If you can, that you can go to a market and that is what directs
yeah,
what you make, that's very
yeah.
inspiring.
It's so inspiring. Oh, there were cashews in it. That was really good. But no, I'm laughing because I just Folktale Week started this week, and I wasn't going to do it. And then I saw somebody start with night, and I'm like, oh, night's a good word. So I just started. I put my camera on. I was like recording it, and did a little. I don't know what to call it. An ink drawing. That's from another project that that I'm excited. I feel like I'm always excited about projects. I quickly am like in the evening, I'm like, oh, that sucked. How could I have thought it was so good? But every day, that this morning I did the word echo, and I was really happy with that. I'm not happy with the final thing, but I was happy with the thought process that got me there. So I'm kind of, maybe I'm just so easy to please. I don't know. I'm really happy with these individual thoughts, and then with the bigger project that they're part of. So yeah, maybe every day I can answer that
That's
with
awesome.
positivity, unless
That's so good.
unless I don't get the morning pages. Yeah.
All right, Margaux, would you please tell our listeners where they can find you, shop at Peg and Awl, learn from you, and more? Where's the best place to go?
I don't know what the best place is. I don't know what the best place is. Instagram, Substack.
Because you have Peg and Awl accounts, but you also have your own personal account. So we'll just link all of them, and we'll throw it all at them. And,
okay, that sounds great.
And so thank you. Thanks for coming on. I've had emails with you over the years, and to be able to see you face to face and to talk with you has been a lot of fun. And just thank you for making the time.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I created a free resource and mini workbook just for you. 10 tips to take back the peace for a more beautiful life. A free ebook if you're looking for some rest in your day-to-day like I was. Go to JeanneOliver.com/10tips to get your free resource. Creativity is calling. Become the artist you have dreamed to be. After the podcast, meet me over at JeanneOliver.com, where you will find art, business, and lifestyle online courses. We have over 150 courses from teachers around the world.